Earlier, before I went on tonight, I was eating a rotisserie chicken. And there's nothing like a rotisserie chicken from the supermarket. It's already cooked. They know what to do. But it's good to know the anatomy of anything that you're getting ready to cut into so you know how to get to the meat. Oh, you missed it already. It's good to know the anatomy of something so you know how to cut into it to get to the meat. And ladies, tonight I want to talk to you about us men and also about relationships and dating in general when you're dating a new man so you'll know how to cut to get to the meat. So first thing I want to say are the problem. Let me state some of the things that you've done and that you need to do, the mistakes that you've done and the things that you need to do in order for this not to happen, in order to be prepared. One thing about men, I've told you before, many times we put women in categories. Either you're a sleeper or you're a keeper. And then sometimes we don't know yet. We haven't decided yet. A sleeper is somebody that you sleep with. That's obvious, okay? A keeper is somebody that you keep and you want to keep. And you're kind of hoping that maybe the things will work out toward marriage. We have somebody watching all the way from Malaysia tonight. And again, we have somebody from Jamaica on as well. So those are the things that, either you're a sleeper or a keeper, or we haven't yet decided yet. And you don't know where this person looks at you because we as men, we know how to play it across the field. So wherever we end up slipping in, we just slip into it. You won't really know where we're coming from because most times we're not crazy enough to come right out and say, Warnell Brooks, oh man, bless you and your family, man, is watching. Sometimes we're not going to come right out and tell you that. So either you're going to be a sleeper, a keeper, or we're trying to decide. We're trying to figure out, if where you're going to be with that. We have somebody from Bahamas watching tonight. Ladies, let me give you some tips. To protect yourself, you've got to set boundaries immediately. You've got to basically know where you want to go, how far you want to go, where you want to take, just getting to know someone. You need to make sure that your mind is clear and that you don't do a lot of daydreaming and start dreaming and planning ahead of time. Have you ever had a dream about someone that you weren't even really thinking about? And when you woke up from that, we have somebody from Guyana watching us. And when you woke up from that dream, you weren't even thinking about this person. This is somebody maybe at work or at church or whatever. You weren't even thinking about this person in that way. But you had a dream about them and you were kind of messed up for a couple of days. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that, but it happens. Oh, somebody said, ouch, okay. Warnell, bless you, man. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, you could be messed up over a couple of days. You're like, oh, man. You're kind of like, okay, do I like this person? You kind of thinking this kind of, whatever you felt in the dream, you kind of felt that it was real. And then later on, after a couple of days went by, you came back to yourself. And you said, nah, and you just went on, so that was just a dream. I ain't really, I wasn't really feeling that person. That's not for me. You can have the same effect when you go out on a date with somebody, you get to know somebody, you're getting to know somebody, and you start dreaming in your head. When you dream in your head, you have the same effect as you did when you actually had a dream about someone. Do y'all understand that? It's the same thing. So you start to wonder the stuff that you're daydreaming about. I'm saying daydreaming versus dreaming at night. You're daydreaming about the person. You're thinking about this person in marriage. You're thinking about, or you're going too far ahead when you should be concentrating and focusing and setting your boundaries, setting up your plan, setting up your boundaries so you can get to know this person. It's all about getting to know this person first, and don't daydream. Don't take it any further than what you know of the person. Everybody, for the most part, there's some nuts out there that show up right away. But for the most part, everybody is fantastic. Everybody is awesome in the beginning. Everybody is like, whoa, oh my God, this is the man, all this person. Oh, That's what I call the hype stage. You cannot dream, you can't afford to dream and get ahead of the hype stage. Don't let that hype stage of getting to know, because somebody out front, when you first meet them, they look good, they smell good, they seem to have everything that you want. You get caught up in that, you're going to make mistakes. You must set your boundaries, okay? And again, when somebody comes to you, a friend might come to you, your child I have a daughter, Lord have mercy, in college. Every nut is he's just so wonderful in the beginning. He's this, he's that, and I'm sitting there on the other end of the conversation, and I'm like, I don't want to spoil my daughter, I don't want to spoil her chances. Not her chances, but I don't want to spoil her drive. I don't want to be the negative guy. I do this for a living. This is what I do. I've done enough of this dating. I'm a man myself, and this is so. And I'm like, I don't want to spoil the thing for her, but I already know it. I'm like, okay, this guy's a nut. Let's see how long it's going to be, before he's not that wonderful. You got to get past the hype stage in order to see what you really have. Again, you've got to know the anatomy, of whatever you're getting ready. Like I used that example about that rotisserie chicken I had earlier, to know exactly where to cut to get the meat that you're looking for, to get to the meat. You've got to know the anatomy of the bird, per se. Make sure in the beginning that your radar is set to the max. Because why? You want to detect if this person is a Marcus Graham from Boomerang. You remember Eddie Murphy? I know Kevin, I know you know him as well. Marcus Graham from Boomerang. You remember Marcus Graham? His whole MO. You remember how he flowed in the beginning until he messed around and fell in love. And many of our brothers are, a lot of them are like that. They've got this whole plan, until they fall in love. And, but you got to treat every man, I've said this before, as Marcus Graham from Boomerang until they prove otherwise. So you want to keep your radar set to the max. The other thing concerning a lot of mistakes that you make is when you see that the person is somebody that you really like, you're really feeling them, all of a sudden you start pressing toward a relationship. And I'm not even going to go any further and say you press toward marriage and wanting that person to be exclusive to you. You don't know this person yet. Again, press lightly. There's a feature on my phone. Some of y'all have this feature. You can press a button a certain way, and you'll get a certain response for this button. But then you can press the same button a little bit firmer, and it'll do another complete different thing. Y'all have a phone like that? Do you know what I'm talking about? You can press it one way. You press it lightly to get a certain response. But then if you want it to do something else, you press it harder, and that same button can do a different thing for you. So you know what I'm saying? So in the beginning, press lightly, because if you don't press lightly, if you press more firmly, you're going to get a different response, a response that you're not ready for. And it's going to come off as if you're desperate. A man does not want a desperate woman. A man does not want a woman who's pushing. A man does not want, you know what I'm saying? They're just looking for a soft response. You just want to get a soft response. There's a certain feature. Don't press too hard, because it's going to take you to another menu. Okay? And somebody said, Denise Bressler, it jiggles to delete the app. That's right. Exactly. So you can mess around. Ooh, Denise. I can preach off of that right there. I might have to preach that. You press it too hard. Now you stand at the point of deleting the app. Have you ever met someone? It seemed like, the first couple of days y'all were like flowing. Everything was working. But you pressed too hard and you ended up deleting the app. And next thing you know, they were gone. They would not call. You can't get them on the phone. They're gone because you pressed too hard, and you deleted the app, before you even had a chance to see what it was all about. So again, you don't want to press too hard. Learn to keep a quality man engaged. What does that mean? There's no trick to that. if it's a quality man, he's going to want quality back, and you want to keep him engaged and interested. Don't tell your whole story in one night. Okay, you missed it. Some of you feel that, okay, you like the person and you immediately think that they're your savior, and you end up telling them everything that's going on. Let me just give you, a good preacher knows that they can't tell everything in one sermon. So they give the people enough for people to learn and take in, and also they give them just enough where people want to hear from the person again. But if you try to cram it all in one thing, in one sermon, people are not going to ever want to hear you again. I don't know, those of you that do go to church, have you ever noticed that those that don't get to preach often, the associate ministers, when you see them on the street or you see them on Facebook, they like, every time they got a little engagement to preach, they're always telling you, oh yeah, I got to preach over at Ethiopian church over here. There's only 2 people over there. Ethiopian, they got it on Facebook. They got the invitations. You put your invitation. Are you going or not? And then when you meet them on the street, you're just saying, you just try to ask a question or two to show that you're halfway interested in them. And then they start telling you either what they're going to preach about, or if you catch them after the fact, what they preached about. You're at Kroger's, you're at the supermarket, you're at Walmart, and they're like, yeah, I came from Ephesians, the 6th chapter and the 13th verse, and I told them such and such, and you're like, man, I don't want. When you do all of that, you come off as a person who doesn't have a place to preach. All right, let me bring it home for you. Let me bring it home for you to help you. When you go into too much with a man in the beginning, you're going to appear like you don't have a lot of dates. All right, and you may not have a lot of dates, but you don't have to appear that way. Okay? All right? So again, yeah, Caroline Shelton says, keep them guessing. All right? So don't tell your whole story in one night. The other thing I'm going to say, if you are in need, if your lights are getting ready to get shut off, your rent is due, your car is getting ready to be taken away, don't go into any of that. Not with them. Ask somebody else that you're close to. No sob stories. If you come into them even with the sob story about your previous relationship and you talk too much about it, watch this. You give off the impression, and it's not even an impression, it's really the deal, that you're not over that person yet, which means you're really not ready. And you're really telling the person, I'm looking for somebody so I can, Pastor Sankey's watching from Pueblo, Colorado. You're telling the person, I really need somebody as methadone to help me get off the drug. Methadone is used, they give drug addicts, people that are on drugs, methadone. Michelle Underwood's in the house. Love you, my sister. Methadone is used to help people who are on drugs to get off drugs. It sort of helps wean them from the side effects and the things that's hurting their body of drugs. If you're with somebody on a new date and you're going into what Fred did, and you're going back and forth, you come across needy, and you come across like Charlotte Coleman said, and Rob Hubbard's, you're coming off like, you're not over that person yet. And that's a big red flag for a brother. All right. A man who is truly interested in you, watch this, will want to grow with you. A man who is truly interested in you will want to grow with you. As they get to know you, if he sees that you set your value bar high, he will work hard at trying to prove his worth to you. If you set the bar low, he will easily step across it, sleep with you, and keep it moving. Next one. Look for a man who's teachable. All right, what am I saying? I know I've got to explain this because the brothers that are watching saying, "Man, you a man. What are you talking about? Why we got to be taught? What are you talking about, man? Are you selling us out, man? Well, how is a woman going to teach us?" I'm going to explain it. Look for a man who's teachable. A man who is mature spiritually, mentally, a man who knows who he is as a man who is confident in himself, will understand the purpose of a woman. God gave Eve to Adam as a helpmeet, as a helper, and I use it in the ESV version, fit for him. She was fit for him. She was able to help him in ways that he was ready to accept. And since God put him to sleep and took something out of him, he realized that he would need something from this person. Again, and men who have not been spiritually put to sleep yet have an egotistical attitude that they can't learn anything from women. And if they feel that way, they're not going to listen to anything you have to say. God has created you a rib. Ribs are regenerative. You don't operate on ribs. I told you I got a friend, truck driver, who cracked 11 of her ribs at a truck stop. A truck ran into her as she was smashed in between two trucks and broke 11 ribs. They didn't operate on ribs because ribs heal themselves. God made you as the woman to be able to heal, okay, to self-heal. So you've got to look at that in terms of if a man feels that he's not teachable, I'm going to make my own learnable. He's not going to be able to listen to anything you say. He's going to be the one that's going to dictate. There's times even in my marriage when my wife is talking, and we can be going, she's on a valid point. Sometimes I've got to, bring that man thing. We got this man thing. I got to, deflate my chest and bring my voice down and say, say, you know what? She's saying something. She's saying something that I really need to, I really need to hear. That makes a lot of sense. If a man is not teachable, you need to watch out because that person is egotistical. They're a narcissist, and it's going to be all about them. And they're going to be trying to teach and reteach you. You remember Ike Turner? Nobody could teach him anything. Anna Mae Bullock could not teach him anything. What do you mean? You trying to help Ike? What do you mean you're trying to help Ike? Ike don't need help. What do you mean you're trying to help Ike? You saw that. You saw that Ike knew everything. And when people are trying to tell you something for your own good, he wouldn't listen to the record companies. He wouldn't listen to his management. He wouldn't listen to, you look at the man. Look at him. Is this man teachable? If he's not teachable, don't waste your time. You must, as the woman, be a challenge. Now, what am I talking about? I'm not talking about you dangling a carrot in front of a rabbit and you're just dangling and you're leading them by the nose and all of that, and you're giving the guy a hard time. That's not what we're talking about. You can't be so easy to figure out. That's why I told you, you can't tell it all in one night. This is not a movie that you go to and you sit for 2 hours and they tell the whole thing. No, you can't be that. You got to be a challenge, meaning that there's so much depth to you, to your soul, who you are, that they're like, man, like you sit down and a good speaker and you're compelled and you're like, man, this person has wisdom in there and I'm learning from them. They've got so much to give and I want to hang on to every word. That man needs to feel that way about you. That's why I'm telling you, if you're single, thank God. You don't have a man in your life right now? Thank God you got a chance to get it together. Impart in you. Read the Bible. Read books. Get your hands on material. Watch the news. Stop watching all this frivolous stuff. They show these silly shows. You can watch it, but don't let that be your steady diet. Have something more of quality to be, so no matter what the conversation is, you can flow. You ought to be able, if somebody sits down and talks to you about what's going on, I know you're sick of whatever's going on, but you ought to be able to say something about General Michael Flynn. You ought to be able to know who these people are. You need to know who Kellyanne Conway is. You need to be able to understand that they're in the middle of a tax vote. You need to be able you need to be able to say these things. You need to know what's going on. So you've got to be well-rounded. Thank you, Laquita Mays. Substance. You've got to have some. You can't. Everything can't be about New Edition. When I was young, I would say, okay, if this is all this girl got to talk about is New Edition, I'm out. Or I'm just going to stick around as long as I can to get whatever I want, and that's it. If that's all she can talk about is New Edition, then the group, that's it. Have some substance, okay? So that's it. So what I'm saying is have some substance about you. You must be a challenge. The other thing is you can't over pursue. Show that you're interested, but don't over pursuit. One thing you women do is if you don't hear from a guy from a day in 1 day or a few hours, you text him, is everything okay? Now you just met the guy. Everything all right? It seems like you're paranoid and that you're desperate for something to happen. Lay in the cut. Thank you, Barbara. Lay in the cut. Again, if you've got to force something to happen, if you got to stay on top of somebody, this is key. For something to happen, you don't need it. I'm telling you, you do not want to be chasing a brother. He's got to want something in you. He's got to be able to show you that he wants you. Don't be, everything all right? You've been out on 1 date or 2 dates. Everything all right? I didn't hear from you in a couple of hours. Well, are we all right? I thought we were going to, no. And you may be feeling that stuff, because you're a rib, but you gotta lay back on some of this stuff. Don't talk or plan the future, and you're doing that on a consistent basis. You just met the man. You've been going out for a couple of dates. Caroline Haycoat is in the house. Somebody said, I need this tonight. Hermione Myrick need to hear this tonight. You've gone on a couple of dates. They seem to be, great. But now you start, how do you see us in the future? How do you see us in the next couple of months? You're talking all those. This is your evaluation time. This is not the time to lock something in. You're walking on the car lot, okay, to buy. There's a reason why there's more than one car out there on the lot. There's a reason why there's more than one color of a car. There's a reason why there's hundreds of different types of cars. So you can take your time. Your credit is good. This is what I'm telling you about investing in yourself. The more you invest in you, the higher your credit level goes. Your credit score goes. So when the credit score is, you're well-rounded, you're not desperate. When you get on the car lot, you're not desperate. When you're not, the desperate ones are the ones that get the bad deal on the car lot. When you walk on a car lot, especially when you're buying a used car, okay? And all of us are used, for the most part. When you're buying a used car, the salesman person can take this. There's a wider margin for them to take advantage of you. You cannot appear desperate, and your credit score has got to be right, and you've got to do your homework before you hit the lot, okay? Hitting the lot and trying to buy a car, and you're trying to be waiting for them to educate you, that ain't the way to flow. You're already putting yourself at a disadvantage. Are y'all with me tonight? Watch this. Don't make a new man your hobby. All right. Let me say that again. Don't make a new brother you meet your hobby. Many of you have made the mistake. You're so into this new person, you cut all your friends off. You cut your family off. You stop going to church. Oh yeah, you bring them one time down the aisle, so everybody can see them, and you come late on purpose, and you come up seat up front, so everybody can see you got a man. We ain't seen you in a minute. But after you do all of that, don't make this person your hobby. Let him see that you are keeping your things that were important to you before you met him, and you're still. So this is going to give you balance, and it's going to let this man know that he's not going to be able to shift you and take you out of the things that you find enjoyment in. That's important. Don't make this man your hobby. Many of you made a mistake in doing that. You were so excited, you cut everything off, and everything was focused on him. You missed class. You missed, everything. Somebody says time for altar call. Thank you, Deanna Brooks. Let me say this. Anyone can say, I love you. Don't let those words let your guard down. I love you has to be proven. I love you can't be proven in the bed. Single. I'm talking about single, talking to single folk right now. I love you cannot be proven in the bed. I love you can't be taken just because somebody bought you a few meals. I love you just because they appear to be the perfect person. I love you, especially if they don't know you. That right there you need to watch that. Okay? If I thought remember Martin, I've only got a few movies that I use. I use those movies over and over. What's love got to do with it? No, not what's love got to do with it. Why would I say that? I was talking about Ike Turner. But what is it? Between love and hate, a thin line between love and hate. You remember Martin Lawrence? You remember when she was on the couch there, and she was kind of vulnerable. She was in this, but she was like, okay, she had her whole, little negligee and stuff on, but she wasn't really quite ready, And she asked him several questions. Do you care for me? And he was like, yeah. But the last question before she gave her body to him, to what was his name? I can't think of his name in the movie, but it was Martin Lawrence in the movie. But the last question she asked him, no, it wasn't Martin Lawrence. It was Martin Lawrence, yeah, but I forgot his name in the movie. The last question that she asked him was, do you love me? And he paused, and he realized that if he did not say that he loved him, it wasn't Marcus. His name, that was Marcus in Boomerang, but Martin Lawrence, I forgot his name in Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Darnell. Thank you, April. Darnell. Okay. So glad my name ain't Darnell tonight. Darnell. She's like, do you love me? And he said yes. And that's what opened the door for him to get what he wanted. Don't let that be the word. When somebody mentions that, especially when they don't know you, and they know, you know that you don't know them, that I love you, don't get tricked up by that. Don't major in the minor. Men, we don't reflect or care, and sometimes we don't even realize the minor things. A lot of times we miss minor key things. That's why when we lock in with a woman, we need the advice of a woman. A lot of times I used to tell my wife, okay, baby, this went on at work today. And as I'm telling her, she is able to point out, I'm going through all the major things. But she's listening not just to the major things, but she's listening to the minor things, the little things. And she's able to say, wait a minute, stop right there. I'm like, well, baby, that part ain't important. Let me tell you what they really did. She said, no, go back to what you said. And she's able to catch some of the minor things that I thought were minor, but they were huge. And it were things that as a man, that I missed. So men, we often miss the little things. But women catch every detail. They hang on to the detail. Thank you, Holly. They hang on to the detail. So, in the beginning, don't focus or let them know that you're focused on the things that they consider to be minor. They didn't say something a certain way. They didn't call you every 5 minutes. And again, all this makes you appear to be desperate. Juanita Biden said this. I said this before. Let them work up to a night date. Start out with breakfast. I think that is a good way just to do it. I mean, everything doesn't have to be a night date. A night date, remember I talked about when women are asleep. The closer you get to night, that's sleep time. They don't deserve that kind of time yet. Start out with breakfast. Then that way your mind's fresh and clear in the morning, and it's very rare that you're going to leave from the breakfast place and go right to the bed. It's very rare. Stay alert. This is an interview at the beginning. You want to check out where they're coming from. You want to see what's up with them. You just want to get to know them. You don't want anything on a romantic thing to happen in the beginning. Anyway, you shouldn't. It shouldn't be about the affection and the kissing and all that. I need to see I need to cut into this bird. This is a rotisserie bird. Leo Godman is watching. I need to cut into this bird and get to the meat. Okay? So that's where you need to be. Again, you do not start out with breakfast. You can learn a lot about somebody over some eggs, grits, and coffee. And don't let the breakfast be at your house, and don't go to their house. I've told women over and over again, you do not go to a man's house on the first, second, and third date. Because you know why? There's many reasons why. One, their spirit runs through the house. So now it's 2-1. It may even be 3-4-1. All their spirits are in the house. Plus them. You're outnumbered. Many of you women, I know you may not be able to say it on here or witness to it. Thank you, Christopher Williams. Communication is the key as well. It really is the key. Many of you might not be able to admit it. But how many, don't type it. Don't type it. Don't type it. But how many of you women have gone, Rob Hubbard said, IHOP is open 24 hours. How many women have gone over, how many of you have gone over to a man's house? You didn't, thank you, Apostle House. You didn't plan on sleeping with him. And you left in shame. And you left like, man, I should not have done that. You don't even know what happened. I mean, you just got over there. You were just, kind of chilling. I'm going to share a personal story with you. And I'm going to share a personal story with you. So tonight, those of you that are watching, that have taken time out of your Friday night to watch this, I thank you, because you're getting ready to hear something personal that I haven't shared before. Bobby Watkins said, I think we've all been guilty. I agree. I'm going to share mine. I was single. It was when I was single. And Bernie Mac said, long time ago. Long time ago. There was this young lady that I met at a church, and I really liked her. I really did. I had no ulterior motive. I really wanted to be with this person. I had no ulterior motive. I liked this woman in every way. I was like, my man from Boomerang. Okay, she could be the next Marcus Graham. I like this woman. I cooked dinner for her, and I invited her over to my house. And, the dinner, she enjoyed the dinner, and, before you know it, boom, boom, boom. And she was saved, I'm saved. She could not get over it. She couldn't get around it. I tried in every way to show her I'm here. I'm not this one, that wasn't just a one-time deal. I promise you, I really like you. I want us to be together. She could not, I bought her Christian books, I tried praying with her. I've tried, she could not get, it messed her up so bad. It just, from the fleshly aspect, it wasn't that she didn't, she wasn't feeling or nothing. She, it wasn't any of that, okay? But she just could not spiritually get around it. The guilt was just, I ended up, remember some of y'all just joined me, so I'm going to repeat this analogy. Remember, on some of our phones, you could press it. Depending on how hard you press it, will depend on what app comes up or what happens to your phone. Some of these phones are purposely set. So, like if you press the iPhone thing too hard, now you get to the point where you can actually delete an app that you didn't intend to delete. I pressed the button, to get to know somebody. I pressed it too hard, and I ended up deleting the app and deleting, my chances of a relationship. I pressed too hard, and that was a regrettable thing. And some of you women, thank you so much, Juanita, for mentioning it, for being brave enough to mention it. Many of you have been there. You didn't plan on sleeping with the person. Don't put yourself in that situation. You know yourself. Thank you, Shay Stark. She said there's a powerful analogy. You know yourself. You know how long you've been waiting. When you want something, let me say this. I'm going to help somebody even further. I don't know how many of you are hooked to Amazon.com, but I'm hooked. There's a few things that, I like the fact of being able to go on Amazon. You got your gift card, use your credit, whatever. You search and look for the things that you want, and boom, 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 and then you're waiting. It comes to your, your phone. You let your, when UPS is coming, and you can't wait till the package gets to the house with the Amazon thing on it. You're hooked. If you read the review for any item that you put up there, I love Amazon too, Deborah. If you look at the reviews, if I really want something, I almost don't even want to go to the reviews, because somebody, is going to speak negative about the product. Oh, I had it and it only lasted one day. I had it for a month and it went out on me. It was dead on arrival. It tore. It was no good. I never, received the item. In any product, I'm telling you, any product, there's so many complaints, about that particular item. And when I really want something, I almost don't even want to look at the reviews, because I don't want them to spoil this thing that I really want so bad. Reviews do help. All of us there are reviews. Our exes probably could tell a lot of stories. A lot of them are false. Some of the reviews that are up there, Lord, I'm going to have to come back on this. A lot of reviews that are up on Amazon really isn't the product's fault. It's the fact that some folk don't know what to do with certain products, or they use them incorrectly, or they didn't follow the instructions, or they used it incorrectly and they got a bad result, or they overused the product, or they did something different than what the original manufacturer intended. They did something different, or it wasn't. You get a laptop bag for 15.6 laptop, but your laptop is only a 13-inch laptop. It's going to swim in there. Or vice versa. It's not going to fit. And then you complain, oh, it didn't fit. Of course it didn't fit, because you didn't read the instructions. So a lot of exes that complain about us, want to say that we didn't fit, but they never bothered to read the instructions about us. They never had a chance to I'm talking to somebody. They never had a chance to they didn't know us. They didn't know us fully. They misused the product. You know, if you misuse a product, it's going to operate differently than the way that it was originally manufactured. God originally manufactured you to be of quality. He originally manufactured you to be of worth. He originally manufactured you to be in a loving relationship. But if you hooked up with somebody that don't know what they're doing, a lot of times it's not going to work for them, and they're going to give you a bad review. Many times, also, when you want something bad enough, there was a time I purchased something from Amazon. I didn't read the reviews because I didn't want them to ruin. You know, they can ruin your spirit up there. You know, they can ruin your spirit. I didn't even read the reviews, and I went and bought this product, and I got home and pulled it out, and it was a hot mess. I said, man, this thing ain't working. It ain't doing what it's supposed to do. Let me go back and see. And let me see what they're talking about. Because sometimes you need to go back to an ex and see what they're saying about the person. You know. And I went back and I read, and it was everything that I found wrong with this. Oh, I'm preaching to somebody. Everything that I found wrong with the item. Everything, I would have been warned. It was up there. They said it. They said it was going to do this. They said if I turned it on, if I did this, it was everything they said, was true. And they said, don't get this model. Get the other model. Don't mess with this one. It's not going to do what you want it to do. But I wanted it so bad. And many of us, we don't take time to read the reviews. God will give you reviews about a person before you take them in, before you commit to them. He will give it to you. He'll speak to your spirit. He'll start working on you. That's why I told you got to be alert, got to be awake. Pay attention. Stop daydreaming. Stop over planning. Get out of that daydream stage. Okay? You'll learn. God will give you reviews. He'll show you stuff off their actions. Okay, last thing, and I'm going to sign off for tonight. I want everybody, everybody to listen to what I'm getting ready to say. I'm closing out, but I want everybody to listen because this is going to help you. Everybody, watch what I'm going to say. I feel like God gave me this analogy. And the other day I was talking to a friend, and I just wanted to share this information with them about this. There are times that you're going to meet someone, and they're going to be so overwhelmed by who you are, your quality, who you are, and all of this. I had a young lady I was dating, and I mean the first day she's like, "That's it, I'm off the market. You're it. I'm off the market. You're everything." Within 2 days, the person told me, "I love you," and I'm like, "Love me? You don't even know me. I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess. How can you don't know me?" I didn't tell her that, but I was like, I'm a mess. All right, but stay with me. Stay with me. Y'all with me? Okay. You're going to run into people. They're going to be so overwhelmed by who you are. Or they could be planning, plotting, and scheming because they want to get to you. Or they need something from you. So they're going to be like, you remember the cartoon, The Roadrunner? You remember the Roadrunner and Wild E. Coyote? You remember that? This analogy came to me yesterday, and I shared it with a friend who needed it. Stay with me. Y'all remember that, right? You remember there was Wild E. Coyote, and the coyote was always trying to catch up to the Roadrunner, which was a bird. The Roadrunner was a bird. Wile E. Coyote was a wolf, and it was his. He wanted to catch up to the bird, to eat the bird. Okay, now let me set this up for you so you can understand. Stay with me. When somebody's, they're saying I love you. They're saying and then they really could mean well. But I just want to set this up for you so you can understand. They're giving, you're just overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with you, or they're pretending to be overwhelmed with you, or they really could be overwhelmed with you. But they're just overwhelming. I love you. I'm just, and they're saying a lot of words that you can't process yet. They are the road runner, the speed of their words. Remember, the road runner was always miles away from the coyote. Was Acme Products. Yeah, that's right, Lynn. The road runner was always miles away. So their words are like the road runner. Okay? That's where their words are. You're a little bit slower. The coyote was methodical in terms of trying to catch up to the roadrunner in order to eat them. I'm going to bring it to you in a different way. It's going to be a little different than what you think. Okay? So their words are the roadrunner. You haven't caught up to their words yet. Here's a roadrunner with their words. I love you. They're pouring it on you. You can't even process them. You haven't even caught up to them because you're a coyote. You're not as fast as this roadrunner. Okay? You can't get to the words to eat them. Watch this. And to ingest them into your spirit yet, because you can't catch up to them yet. They're they're like, you just met this person. It's going to take some time and some planning. The coyote, you are the coyote. Okay, that's why I'm going to help you with this. It's going to take you some time to catch up to their words, to catch up to them, so you can eat them, to ingest their words into your spirit, to make sure that you're able to digest them. I'm teaching somebody right now. And to make sure that you're able to ingest them and they don't make you sick. False words will make you sick. False words your spirit's at a point where you will regurgitate false words. You won't be able to keep them in. But you got to catch up to the bird in order to catch up to their words, in order to ingest what all of those I love yous and I love you and all the things they're saying, the money they're spending, all of those things. So, again, that's how this is. You're going to run into some road runners, but you're going to have to plan. Remember, the coyotes have always planned to try to get ahead of the bird, of the road runner, so that way it can get there, because its intent was to eat the bird. And again, you need to be able to get to the point with the person that you're able to actually ingest, to eat what they're saying. And what I mean by that is the only way to know that these words, that the road runner, that the words are proven, is when you finally catch up to the bird. Oh, you missed it. I'm going to say that one more time. The only way that you'll be able to catch up, to know the words are right, to know that you'll be able to ingest it, to know that they are real and they're not false, you've got to catch up to the bird. You got to be able to catch up to, thank you, Margaret. You've got to be able to catch up to the bird in order to eat, to ingest. So many of you have made a mistake. You've accepted, because they're way ahead of you with all these words. Yeah, Rob Herbert said, April, we are all guilty of that, whatever April said there. Many of us are guilty of accepting the distance. The fact here means that hasn't been proven, because you haven't been able to catch up to the words. Okay? In order to know that the words are proven, you've got to be able to ingest them into your spirit first. You can't ingest them when there's so many of them, all these promises. I love you, I love you. They're way ahead of you. They're the road runner. Terry said, I need this tonight. And you are the coyote. You can't even keep up with all these words. But you've got to, God and time will give you a chance to get ahead of this bird. So when they land, boom, with more words, now when you get here, you're able to see if these words, if they're proven, if they're exactly who they say they are. Many people make the mistake of sleeping with something that you haven't caught up with. Lord have mercy. That just came to me. I promise you. I'm going to say it again. Many of us make the mistake of sleeping and marrying and committing ourselves to something that we haven't caught up with. Ingest that in your spirit. So when somebody is a road runner, again, they're going to be way ahead of you with all the, I love you. You don't even have a chance to process it yet. You know, it's going to take a minute, you know, because you will. You know, the cartoon, I know that Wiley Coyote tried everything, and he came real close. In time, you will catch up to this bird, to the bird's promises, to all the talk, all that running, beep, beep, all that. You're going to be able to catch up to all of their words. There's going to come a time that all of their words, they're going to have to back up. There's going to come a time when they're going to have to back up everything they said. And when you start to, when you finally, your mission was to eat the bird. You're eating the bird, you know exactly where to cut, because now you know the anatomy of the bird. You know the anatomy of the bird, so you know where to cut to get the meat that you need. Now you'll be able to see if all the stuff they were saying on the outside is the right thing and is going in on the inside. If it's right, it's going to flow properly and it's going to help create nourishment for your body. If it's not right, I was sick the other day. I had some bad food somewhere, somewhere. I forgot where I was, but I know it was two places I went to, and the food didn't sit right with me, and everything was in here was messed up for a couple of days, but you will know because it will be proven, everything that they say. If they said, I love you, even though at a time that you weren't ready for it, by the time you get here, you'll know that they'll be able to prove. It'll go down in your spirit. Like, okay, this person loves me.